It was started back in 2005, and the thought of the group, of the SBOA at the time, was that a lot of people didn't know how to get involved in the industry, or once they got involved, it was quite an intimidating process, and they wanted to take the guesswork out of horse ownership. So they set up this step-by-step mentoring program, and basically what it involved, they set up a limited partnership, and they had a mentor owner and a trainer who were handpicked by the SBOA, and they promoted it to people, and you had to be a first-time owner to take part. And they set up 2 partnerships in year 1 with 9 new people, the mentor and the trainer, and the SBOA also took part in the partnership as well. So in 2005, they had 2 groups, 9 owners in each, plus the mentors. From those 18 people, in the following year, 75% reinvested. I'm sorry, after the syndicate was dispersed. Since 2005, there have been 1 or 2 groups each year. As I said, it's a limited partnership structure. The A partners are the 9 partners and the mentor partner. They each invested $4,500. And then the B partner was the organization, the SBOA, and they contributed $15,000, which was a forgivable loan to the partnership. And that pool of money covered the purchase price of an Ontario-bred yearling and the training bills for 1 year. So the strengths of the program is that the mentor was a veteran owner that was selected by the SBOA. They picked people who were strong communicators. They oversaw the partnership. They took care of all the admin items, all the accounting items. Obviously, when you invest in something as a group, your risks are divided. And the other benefit to owning a horse in a group is the social benefits. A lot of those people became friends, and it's a lot of fun when you go to the races in a group. And I know a lot of them, there was actually smaller groups out of the larger group who went on to buy horses and claim horses together. So just in terms of the process, the SBOA would select the mentors and the trainers. We were involved the very first year. We had Scott Arsenal, who was a mentor for one of the groups. And then the SBOA would promote the program. They spent actually very little on marketing, but they relied on a lot of the internal industry resources, trade magazines, Standard Canada website. The Score did a couple of pieces on the program. Actually, in year 2 of the program, we ran a Win a Racehorse promotion at the racetracks in Ontario. We actually bought a piece of one of the partnerships and gave that away to the winner of the promotion, and we had over 5,000 people take part in that promotion, either at the racetracks or through an online contest that we ran. So once they had the group, the partnership, they would go and purchase a yearling at one of the sales in Ontario, and of course the trainer would have a short list of horses, and he'd probably go to a number of the farms to preview the yearlings and whatnot. And they tried to get all of the people in the partnership to go to the sale as well, just to take in the sale atmosphere and see how a horse auction runs. And then following that, they would have monthly visits to the training center, to the racetrack, wherever the horse was stabled. And they would have a good amount of time to spend with the trainer. The people could, pet their horse. They could take their family out. They actually made it quite a social event. They often tied in like a brunch or a barbecue or a breakfast or whatever. Because it's a long time before that yearling gets to the racetrack in some cases, so they wanted to make sure that they engaged the people and kept them involved. And the benefit of that, having the mentor too, was that the mentor could coach the people along the way, answer any questions, give a lot more time to the different people in the group as opposed to the trainer who, his primary function is taking care of the horse and the day-to-day stuff with the horse and stable. And then of course, once the horse, everyone was hopeful that the horse would make it to the races, and actually the program has yielded some very good results. And this is just a snapshot of the horses who have made it to the races from these groups. The one that Scott Arsenault from our office was involved with was Lemon Drop, and he made over $156,000. Grim for Money, $90,000. The grassroots winner, MG Home Run, $12,000. Trish Sealster, $27,000. Can't Quit Smiling, $49,000. Justin Minks, $42,000. Alamar's Surprise, over $100,000. And Keeson Zavala, $50,000 plus. So those are some really impressive numbers. Things that are written into the partnership agreement too are, the exit clause, how people get out of the syndicate. They have to sell the horse by the 4-year-old season, and then the monies are divided amongst all the people in the group. And if there's any profit, the forgivable loan of the $15,000 is paid back to the SBOA. But anyhow, they're continuing on. I think this coming year they have one group set up, and they purchased a yearling at the Canadian Open sale last year. So it's been a great program, and really I think the crux of it, or the critical component, is the mentoring, the coaching. That's been the biggest component of making that program a success for the people. No, I shouldn't, not to mention the horses that the trainers have selected as well. So anyhow, so that's about the mentoring program, and I know Todd's going to speak about his group, but just a little infomercial. Catherine was mentioning that Jockey Club of Canada has a guide. Standardbrook Canada produces the Winner's Circle Guide, and this is a photocopied version, and we've actually redone this guide, and it's waiting to go to print. It'll look a little bit different this time around, but you can get it online through our Own a Horse website, and there's good content in here, content that is not time sensitive, about how to select your trainer, different types of ownership structures. Lots of good info in there. The Own a Horse website. The SBOA has good information on their website as far as horse ownership goes. And racetracks, all of the different horsemen's associations. We've been involved in horse ownership workshops since 1999 at Standardbrook Canada. We work with the provincial breed associations to put them on. And 40% of the people who've attended our owners' workshops have gone on to be horse owners. So we feel that the workshops are a good way to get people involved in the industry. But anyway, that's my spiel. Any questions on the mentor program? And I mean, this can be done in a scaled down version, depending on where people are.
One question about the selection of trainers. How did you go about selecting the trainer for the program? What did you ask? Just basically ask trainers to offer up their services, or what was the process?
No, the trainers are compensated. They are screened very well by the directors of the SBOA. They want, location is important because they want people to be able to go and visit the trainer. The trainer has to be a good communicator. They have to, specialize in the younger horses, in the breaking and training of yearlings, and a number of those horses were stakes horses as well. So they want trainers with that specialty. They want trainers who are welcoming to people coming into their stable or their training facility. Trainers with a proven track record, and a proven track record with the younger horses. So I know I said the mentor was a critical part of the program, but the trainer is an important part of the program as well. So I think they've done a great job at picking the right mentors and the right trainers, and they've got some really strong results. So.
Program has, because you've got a number of first-time owners, and they're excited, but they may want to have too much input, if I can put that delicately. The thing about too many cooks. A friend of mine who's a trainer says he's written a book called Never Let an Owner and it's 200 blank pages. So is there any kind of understanding that, look, let the trainer do what he or she is supposed to do? Because it might eliminate a lot of conflict.
Right. Well, I think that's where the mentor comes in too, Norm, is the mentor is kind of the point person that those 9 other owners communicate with, and then the mentor is the person who's communicating with the trainer for the most part. So he's sort of keeping those 9 people, I don't want to say, but, he's dealing with all of that, which, in a lot of cases for the trainer, that can be overwhelming too, if you're dealing with a lot of different people and you're not accustomed to it. So that's the mentor's job. That's it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. It's a great program. It seems to be turning out great results. So appreciate the update and information. Next, we're going to have Kelly Spencer from Grand River Raceway. Kelly's recognized across the industry in Canada for her bouncy ponies. And no, Kelly does a great job. She's a marketing leader for sure. Across the industry, has a lot of respect, leads the way through a lot of things, and we're really appreciative that Grand River Raceway and Kelly could make it down to the symposium, take part. I believe it's her first time down this way, is it? Second time? Third time, okay. So we'll hear from Kelly, and it's great, thank you.
Put this down at the level that it should be. Thanks very much, Jeff. Thanks everyone for having me. I am tickled to be here. Last time I was in New Brunswick was in Memramcook 20 years ago for theater school, so it's nice to be back. I wish the weather was a little nicer, but you can't have everything, right? So I am the marketing manager at Grand River Raceway. I also own a photography business as well, Iron Horse Photo. There will be some crossover in my presentations today, undoubtedly, but I'm going to speak mostly to the SBOA program is a fabulous program, and Kathy did a great job of summarizing it. Another fabulous program that we have in Ontario that I think really helps to drive ownership and facilitate new owners coming into the business is one that falls under an umbrella called the Hands on Horses program, and it's actually a couple of programs that fall underneath that umbrella, and they're cooperative ventures. That's the theme you'll hear today in all my presentations, is cooperation and working together. As cliche as that is, it's the truth. So this particular program that I'm speaking to, just bear with me 1 second here. There we go. So the particular programs I'll speak to today are presented in cooperation with the Ontario Harness Horse Association. They're currently funded by the Standardbred Revenue Allocation Committee, and the main programs are the Standardbred Extreme Adult Harness Racing Camps and also the ownership seminars that are presented by Standardbred Canada. So some of the selling points of Standardbred ownership in general, sort of from a track perspective, is, sorry, I have to take my face away from here every time. There we go. Hands-on and interactive. So these are kind of the points that we're selling to the public when we're trying to recruit new owners and come up with new programs to grab new owners. One of the selling points, obviously, of Standardbred racing is that it's very hands-on. If you're going to own a thoroughbred horse, the chances aren't very good that you're going to have an opportunity to work with it in a hands-on capacity, and that's very important to a lot of people. The people that I see come through the camps that are interested in being new owners, that's important to some of them, is the opportunity to go out on Saturday mornings and actually put their hands on their horse or shovel manure or any of those things that all of you no longer see the romance in. Lots of other people do see the romance in it. So I'm telling you these things just so that you're aware of them and you understand what motivates people who haven't been in the industry for a long time, who are recruiting. And we have two lovely people joining us today who are looking to enter the industry, so I'm sure they could probably back me up on that. or perhaps you're not looking forward to shoveling manure, who knows. So hands-on and interactive, this is part of the program. This is the biggest part, I think, of this program that I spoke to, the Standardbred Extreme Adult Camp. It's the opportunity for them to actually get out there and jog their horse, learn how to properly jog a horse. It gives them a whole new appreciation, obviously, for what happens on the racetrack. And then the highlight of their whole weekend is that they actually get to take part in the exhibition races on a race night in front of the crowd, on the race broadcast, against one another, in front of their family and friends. And that experience really sells the sport. So in terms of recruiting new owners, I think anybody who has taken part in these programs, and probably everyone on this panel will agree, that it's about quality versus quantity. So it takes a lot of effort to recruit somebody into this business, and I think that's across the board. That's, marketing to new fans, recruiting new owners. It's about giving them a quality introduction and a quality lure to get them into. It's very labor intensive to get somebody recruited, but once you spark the passion is real, and that's where you can go forward. Family activity, obviously, this is an industry where people can really, if this becomes their new pastime, their new hobby, it's something they can involve the whole family in. So this is from our major stake race at Grand River, the Battle of Waterloo, and this is the McNair family. Local family, they had entered this race every year for like the first decade that it existed, and they could never win it. And then they finally did win it, and it was with a horse that the whole family owned, that they bred, homebred. So it was a really special moment, as you can clearly see from the looks on all their faces. Oh, I think the little title's missing at the top. The little title at the top says "Lure of the Dream." So if that's not the major selling point of this industry, I don't know what is. I would imagine it's what subconsciously motivates you to haul your butt out of bed at 5 in the morning when it's minus 29 degrees outside to jog a horse. I think that has to be subconsciously what's keeping you going much of the time. So the lure of the dream obviously is very important, and no better illustrated by your very own Some Beach Somewhere. Frequency and opportunity, again comparing to thoroughbred racing, much more opportunity to race and many more venues. So breed over breed, I would say if somebody is looking to get into a different, a sport horse, standardbred would win over thoroughbred. We may be a little biased, of course, in that regard, but frequency and opportunity obviously very important. And this is the program that I spoke to. Of everything that we do in Ontario, marketing-wise, this program and the adult harness racing program, they all utilize the same resources. So the kids learn from the same retired standardbred racehorses that we use for the adult camp. We use them for Project iDrive events, which I'll speak to during the marketing seminar later this afternoon. So they all use the same resources. They use volunteers, so drivers, trainers come out and help to teach people how to jog horses. This is, and this is just my opinion, but of all the marketing that we do, this is the best marketing that we do. And it's hard to sell sometimes to other people within the industry if you're looking for funding for it and that sort of thing, because it's big on quality and not huge on quantity. So you churn 8 kids through the youth camp at each location. You churn 8 adults through the adult camp at each location. It's only 8 people, but it's 8 quality experiences. And a huge percentage, and I don't have numbers, but I can tell you, I'll stand by it, a huge percentage of people who go through the adult camps, they become engaged, and they go on to own horses. Steve Calhoun, of course, who owns Sports Writer and many other great horses with Casey Coleman, he was a standardbred owner. And some of them are people who have just gotten into the business, and this is an opportunity for them to get to know more. They get a better understanding of what it is that their trainer does, so they have a better relationship with their trainer. Of course, if they have a better relationship with their trainer, their longevity in the sport is going to be better. So it really accomplishes a lot of great things. And like I said, the beauty of it is that once you have all those resources in place, the horses, the double-seat jog carts, the learning materials, you can use it across many platforms. So use it for kids, use it for adults, use it for politicians. OHA did a great, a couple years ago, we had a great sort of sub-program going where we would get politicians into the race bikes and actually, and once you're in the business for a while, it's inevitable. You're going to start to take that stuff for granted, like what kind of pleasure would anyone get out of shoveling crap at 6 in the morning? But I'm telling you, it really, it means, it does something for people. And you have to sometimes step back because you become so used to it, and you have to look at the look on people's faces. And when you put somebody in that jog cart for the first time and they have the opportunity to hold their lines in their hands and they feel the power of the horse, it is so powerful. And this program, although it converts a small amount of people at a time, it's a really quality program. And that's it for me for now.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Definitely hands-on experiences sell people, and the passion is ignited in many people. I just brings to mind there was a horse trailer with a logo on the back of it going, it's in Fredericton, and it said, I've got a disease and it's called horse racing, because you can't get it out of your blood once you got it. So anyways, next, CAIM Syndicate Chief or Chairman or Organizer, Todd Canavan from Fredericton, going to speak on their experience with the horse by the name of CAIM.
Thanks for having me. So Jeff just kind of touched on it. He actually asked me to come here and just kind of talk, I guess, about my experience as a first-time owner in this great game. I don't know what my title would be. I guess I was the ringleader of getting a few guys together to try to have some fun at this game, and mission accomplished, I'll tell you right now. So just a little bit of a background for you. My parents had been into racing with horses for 25 or so years, but I was just strictly a fan, really. I never really thought about being an owner, but I loved going to the track and going to the races on a nice summer night. And I kind of thought one day, wouldn't it be a little bit more fun to take it to the next level and to actually get a horse of our own? I thought, well, this might be difficult because I know, it can get a little pricey. And honestly, I had no idea going into it. Even stall rents and feed costs, I had no idea. So at first, I kind of sat down with my dad, who had some insight into all this stuff, and we came up with a game plan. We talked about what the monthly costs were. We talked about what it would cost to purchase a horse. We were looking at something that could just race 15 or 20 times a year in Fredericton, and we'd have some fun. So we were looking for a kind of a low price claimer to get into the game. When we talked about finding potential new owners to join our group to keep our costs low, we both decided that one of the key things would be to make the cost kind of an upfront thing for new people. The way I sold it to people often was, you pay $1,500 a year for a golf membership. Well, what's $500-600 a year for a racehorse, just to have some fun. So that's what the game plan we came up with here was to put the costs up front to potential people. We wanted to manage expectations. That was a key success for us. Was when I went out to my buddies and other people to become involved, there's always this thing out there about horse racing. I found that, it's really expensive, but, you really can win a lot of money. And I knew just from my dad's experience that winning money probably wasn't going to be part of this. So we set the expectations right from the get-go. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars a year. Don't be looking for a return on investment, which is kind of funny given the tax speech that we all listen to. But we had no expectation, really, of making any money. Our goal was maybe to win a little bit to put back into the care and feeding. The next point was decision-making, and this was key for us, too. We had a lot of new owners, but, even the new owners that were into it after a couple months, they had a few thoughts about maybe how we should be doing things. But right off the bat, we decided that my dad was going to be the boss, and he was going to make all horse-related decisions. good or bad for those that know my dad. But he was going to be the boss, so there was never a concern about, having too many cooks in the kitchen, as Norm pointed out. Our fourth point was we had to find the right horse, because also key to us managing costs and everything was that we were going to do the work ourselves. And in order for me to get into the game, I had never jogged a horse up to this point. I had definitely mucked a few stalls, but that's about it. So we needed to find a horse that was right for us, and that we could do the work, we could be hands-on, something that had a really nice temperament in the barn, something that was easy enough to jog. So we put the word out that we were looking for that kind of perfect horse. And my dad, of course, had to add his condition. It had to be cuddly, which was, again, kind of a weird thing to ask for in a racehorse. But and lastly, the game plan was for us just to have fun at this game, was to just really enjoy the races, enjoy having a racehorse, come out to the track, get as involved as you want to, or as little as you want to, and just to have some fun. So that's what we did. That was the game plan. So of our first-time owners, there were 10 of us in our group. Initially, I put the word out to about 4 or 5 of my buddies, and I was amazed at how quickly these guys were on board for this. Had never been around it, never been involved with it, but just there was an excitement about it, to own a horse. Like it was neat. They couldn't believe they could do this. And from our group, I stopped at 10 because we probably could have had 15 or 20 in year one. And we decided that 10 was a perfect number. It kind of broke down our costs pretty well, and it was manageable. So from that group, we had a diverse group of people. People in their 40s with kids, single guys in their early 30s. As you can see too, we kind of hit the bar market. We had 2 bar managers, a bar owner, and a beer rep. And I won't lie to you, that was really important for our fun. I know that the first day that we got the horse at the track, the beer rep showed up with a beer fridge and 120 beer. So it was immediately a good decision. And lastly, everybody that we had in our group, I don't know, we just lucked out because they were just so excited to be involved, and they were just so great to work with. There was never a question about, what we were doing, making those decisions, or money or anything. It was just, let's just have a good time with this, and, knock on wood, it was excellent. So here's some of the keys, I guess, for our little syndicate group that I found from my experience. Number one was the support of the horsemen and women in Fredericton. Being newbies to this game, there was so much to learn, and you learn something new every day. And if it wasn't for our barn mates, Paul Jennings, Heather Hathaway, Phil Reed, everybody around. At some point or another, all the horsemen that are in this room from Fredericton helped us, and that made it so much more fun for us because we never felt like we were outsiders. We immediately were kind of embraced by the horsemen and women who have been there for years, and it made it great for us to go through that. My dad, key to our group because he had all the gear. We didn't have to purchase. I think we bought knee boots in year one. I think that was the only thing we had to buy. We had harness, jog carts, we had everything. Some of it was a little dated, mind you, but it all worked, and that was key. Yeah, and we had Paul Jennings shoeing. We had in-house, yeah, that's exactly right. Because of Jennings shoeing, we needed to buy knee boots. I never thought of that. One of the other key ingredients, without the horse, we couldn't have done it because Kai she was just perfect for us. She was patient, experienced, learning how to jog for my first time. I remember it being a little hairy because she liked to go 100 miles an hour, but she was straight, and I never had to worry about her going sideways or anything like that. But she was excellent in the barn. And when we would bring new people in, they'd bring in their kids, they'd bring in their extended families. Kai was just patient and loving and kind, and she didn't have a mean bone in her body. So, we won the lottery when it came to getting the perfect horse for us because it just made the whole experience more accessible for everybody. We had the double-seated jog cart on her, as Kelly pointed out about the programs there. We had friends jogging her. Everybody had a chance to kind of get involved, and that made the whole experience that much better. There was 10 of us in the group, but I'm sure our extended, with all the family members, was easily 30 people. And on a Saturday morning, people would come down and take her for a rip around the track or just hang out and shoot the breeze. It made it a real, kind of a real community thing, and it was excellent. And fun atmosphere, I've kind of talked on that already. You know, we were in it just to have some fun, and I'll tell you, it was a great 2 years of doing it. You know, we had a blast, there's no question. Getting some help from the owners was nice. I know I did the majority of the work, but we also had a couple guys that were keen to help out. I don't know how many times we got a call from my dad that we had, you know, 250 bales of hay to get in, and all the guys would show up. So that was really, really good. And the last point was, again, just back to managing costs. We put out kind of a number at the very beginning, and luckily in 2 years we stuck to that number. We never had to ask for more. So that was definitely key for everybody to kind of budget. Waiting for it to flip. There we go. Bumps in the road. There were very few, but one of the ones for us was initially when we had done this. I was a total newbie. I didn't know anything about the Standardbred Canada rules and regulations around horse ownership, so admittedly in the wrong. But we did it all in my dad's name. And one day I was, I think, doing an interview for CBC, and I kind of said that there was 10 of us involved, and that kind of found its way up the channels, and immediately we're hidden ownership, and we had to get that rectified or we couldn't race. So one of the things that we ran into was, you know, we had a $2,000 horse, and with 10 owners, it would have cost, I think, to rectify the owner situation somewhere around $1,200 to $1,500. I mean, that's 50% more than, almost 50% more than what we paid for the horse. So that was a little bump in the road, but it was a lesson learned for us for sure. So we rectified that situation. A bunch of us andied up and became full-time members for Standardbred Canada, but that was just a minor blip. We kind of have to take responsibility for that, for not knowing the rules ourselves. So rookie mistakes was another little bump in the road. I know that there was definitely a lot to learn. Hindsight is always 20/20 with racing. You always wish you could kind of change a few things. But and last but not least, vet bills. I know this happens to everybody in this room. You know, we bought a horse from Quebec that had no issues whatsoever, and then the horse showed up with a few issues. So that might have happened in transport, I'm not sure. To flip again. And what a great time. Kind of just to summarize again, every single race that Kai went out, we had support from grandparents, from grandkids, aunts, uncles, friends, family. We had every race night was an excuse for everybody to get together. She'd race, there'd be a cheer in the crowd, win, lose, finish last. It didn't matter. Everybody was there to have a good time and really enjoyed her. I remember one race where there was a little bit of a dust up in front of us. Luckily, no horses went down, but there was a dust up. We ended up way back. She finished the race, I'm sure, maybe 50 lengths behind, and people cheered as she crossed the line. It was kind of strange, but everybody just had a really good time with her. She was known for a time as the Facebook horse. We just started using Facebook as a means to get the word out about race nights and promotions at the track and stuff. And you know, I think at last check, even now, she's got 350 friends. And to put that in perspective, after Shadow Play won the Little Brown Jug, he had 240. And we surpassed that, I think, after like 2 weeks with a $2,000 horse. So that was pretty neat. Any press is good press. I think in the first year alone, you know, we were on CBC Radio Morning 2 times, the Fred FM a couple times, the Gleaner wrote a couple stories, Harness Edge did a story, Standardbred Canada did a story. It just kind of spread the word about this crazy group of guys in Fredericton with this $2,000 racehorse having a blast. So that was kind of neat to get the word out, and I know that it brought people in. I know there's people that would come to our barn after the races and they would ask, is that the Facebook horse? And like, I don't know these people from a hole in the wall, yet they had read about the horse and they knew that it was accessible to come to the Fredericton Raceway and come down and actually meet the horse. So we had like fans that would just show up, which was kind of neat. Our successes, we had a good run. We had 35 starts, which was awesome. In the 3 win photos, I counted the other night, we had 76 people in 3 race photos, which I thought was kind of neat. I'm sure that was probably the most for the entire season in Fredericton. In 2009, we were lucky enough, our group was awarded the Standard Canada Owner of the Year, and at the banquet, we had just as much fun as we did on the backstretch, which was awesome. We actually have in Fredericton right now 2 fans that found Kai through the media that actually got into the game. Joe and Marie McDonald, they got their very first racehorse. They're in Fredericton in our barn now, doing all the hands-on work. They're doing everything. And if they were here today, they would tell you that they got involved because of Kai, because they would come to the races and they would hang out. So now, because of that, we've got a new horse in Fredericton and new owners, I'm sure, for life. So the future, we've actually retired Kai, and we're breeding her now in the spring to a Meridian Farm Stallion. And we're looking forward to raising Kai babies. And from our original group of 10 in the syndicate, I know there's at least 4 or 5 who are going to be on as owners of Kai's foal. So we're just going to keep going with it and just continue to have some fun. And I think that is it, yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for having me here today. You know, as a new owner that kind of just fell into this as a hobby, I know that, you know, doing the work and jogging the mare and going to the track every day is something that I'll have for the rest of my life. I will continue to do it for the rest of my life. I'm expecting my first child. My wife's expecting our first child in August, so I've kind of had to pull back a little bit for my time, but I still make it down to the track as much as possible, and I will continue to do that because it's a great game, and it has given so much to me in the short time that I've been involved. I'll continue to do it for forever, probably. So anyway, thanks for having me, and you know, I'd be happy to tell any Kai stories if anybody wants to hear. I certainly love talking about her, so cheers.
Thanks a lot, Todd. It was a great story, and it continues to be a great story, and it's something that really we, as an industry, we have to embrace and look for more opportunities like this to get people in. And I've got a couple little notes I wanted to mention about the Kai story, and it was absolutely out of the realm of history or what we're used to, I guess, at the racetracks. The first day she raced, I remember, I've never been to Kentucky Derby, but they say that the ladies get dressed up in their big hats and their dresses and everything. And I think most of the parents of the new owners thought that it was Kentucky Derby Day at Fredericton Raceway, because I saw these ladies with these big hats and dresses on and stuff. And, you know, it was amazing to see that. And they were new to it, right? So they came in. But we see 200 to 300 people a night in Fredericton to see Kai race. And, I mean, she could be the longest shot on paper, like 50 to 1, and you look at the board and she's 210, because everybody's got their money on her, right? So anybody, like, you know, any of the handicappers, they can make money on that. And on the backstretch side of things, I know Paul Jennings and Heather Hathaway were trained for Todd's father, so they were really interconnected there. And I remember Paul saying to me, like, Jeff, it's unbelievable. They brought this like beer fridge in, and he says it's never empty. Like, they just keep filling it, right? So that kind of mentality of, you know, it's more so it's enjoyment, it's an entertainment thing. It's not a business per se. This is the hobby side, right? One owner, last story. Saturday night, he was one of the single young 30-year-old guys, and you know what 30-year-old guys, single guys on a Saturday night do. You know, they go out and have a good time. And I guess one morning, it was Sunday morning, and here's this guy just shuffling along the barn, like looking at the ground, and it's like 8:30 in the morning. He walked in, he said, "I don't know why I'm here, but my alarm went off, and I'm here." And they said, "Oh, well, Kai's going to be training at 9. Okay, that's why. But Phil's not here to train him yet." So he pushed the cat off the chair, sat down, the cat jumped back up on him. A couple hours later, he's still there snoring away. So, I mean, these guys really embraced it, and they loved it, and it was great to see. And we hate to see Kai retire, but, you know, Kai's foals will be back, and wish you guys all the best of luck. Next, Bob McNeil is going to speak on horse ownership from the trainer's perspective, kind of break it down and show the view from the trainer. So, Bob McNeil.
Thanks, Jeff, and thank you very much for having me here. I just wanted to, Jeff had asked me to put together a little presentation on syndications and partnerships from a trainer's point of view. And probably in the last 10 years in St. John, you know, I've brought a lot of new people into the game, and almost every horse that I have has been in partnership with someone or in a syndication, you know, with a few different owners. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the problems are when you bring a new owner into the game from the trainer's point of view. And a lot of times it's exactly what Todd and what everybody else alluded to. It's communication. And I believe that you have to, as a trainer, you have to be able to communicate with the owners and let them know what to expect ahead of time rather than hitting them with things as they happen. Probably the most crucial decision that you have to make if you're going to form a syndicate or form a partnership is you have to decide whether or not you're going to purchase an overnight racehorse or whether you're going to go the yearling route and buy a baby and hope for a stakes performer within the next year. You know, looking at the pictures on the screen, there's two horses there. You know, they look very similar. One on the top probably is a better driver, you know. But these two horses raced in the same year, and I own them in partnership with people. The top one was an overnight racehorse that we had. That year, she made approximately about $6,000. The bottom one was a 3-year-old colt that we own, and that's him setting the track record in Fredericton, and he made about $32,000 that year. So there's a lot of, you know, when you sit down and make that decision, you have to decide whether you want instant gratification right now, whether you want a horse that I can drop in the box next week, the owners can come to the barn, watch them race, you know, have fun, if that's what they want to do. Some people want to go the other route and they want to decide to buy a baby. And if they want to buy a baby, they have to know going into it that there's 8 to 10 months of training ahead of time. There's upfront costs or stakes payments. There's a lot of more things involved with a young horse than there is with an overnight racehorse. And in doing that, I mean, there's different ownership groups for different horses, and there's different trainers for different owners, and things like that. So I think that's probably the most crucial decision you have to make as a new owner coming into the game. You know, a lot of times, you know, the old saying goes back that the cheapest part about buying a horse is actually buying the horse. You have to know going into it that there's a few things. You know, you have your purchase price. On top of that, you have your licenses, as Todd had alluded to. You know, you get into the situation where you don't realize, you know, if you have 10 people in the game, well, now it's $875 for all 10 people to have a membership. You have to buy that horse equipment to race. Now, some trainers will provide equipment. You know, some trainers do not. And if you're going to go buy equipment for the horse, then, you know, you need harness and hobbles and everything else along that way, or along those lines. Usually the trainer will have his own jog cart and race bike and things like that. Some charge for that. And knowing all of those charges and all of those costs up front will help you make a better informed decision on whether or not you want to be involved in owning a standardbred racehorse. You know, aside from that, when you move forward and you decide, yes, I'm going to buy a racehorse, there's a lot of good points about horse ownership that, you know, that's great. I've been involved for a number of years. Horse ownership it's a family affair. When you come to the barn, at my barn, almost everybody that's there, there's families, younger families with kids. The kids come out, they jog, you know, that's my son and daughter on the jog cart with me there in the pictures. You know, we want it to be a safe environment for the kids to come to so they can learn about horses, and hopefully we can cultivate a new generation of horsemen. Like other hobbies, you know, whether it be softball or golf or anything like that, it allows the participants to be competitive. I'm 39 years old. I'm not going to be a competitive hockey player very much longer. Well, probably never was. But I can compete in horse racing. And also, it's a continuing experience that's fun for everybody. When you watch your horse race and win, there's nothing like it. So I think, you know, I just wanted to put together a short presentation. The first thing you want to do, ask questions, make informed decisions, discuss your issues that you have with your trainer, make sure you have an open line of communications with them, and the last thing is have fun. So, that's it.
Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, I think, it's a time of change for the industry, and everybody knows what the stake and stake horses, owning a free-for-all, or, like, the people involved, they know that there's a big investment required, and there couldn't be a big return, but it's, the stories like Todd's and like Bobby mentioning here with bringing people into the game under syndicate groups and stuff, a lot of the driving factors that you hear are cost. You need to know budgeted costs, you need to know what their decision-making power is going to be, and things of that nature. So I think with the mentoring program and the camp, I love the camp idea. It's really great, and it's great to hear from all perspectives, and we thank you very much for the presentation.